In 1984, a criminal group terrorized Japan with a scheme so elaborate it read like fiction. They called themselves the Monster with 21 Faces. Their target? Japan's biggest food companies. First, they kidnapped the president of Glyco Confectionery, held him for 3 days, then released him unharmed with a ransom demand. When police closed in, they switched tactics. They began poisoning candy on store shelves, leaving threatening letters at crime scenes, taunting investigators with sophisticated messages that mocked their every move. For 2 years, they stayed one step ahead of the largest manhunt in Japanese history. Their letters were theatrical masterpieces, perfectly typed, no fingerprints. They even referenced detective novels and signed off with cartoon drawings. The pressure was crushing. The police chief leading the investigation took his own life. Then suddenly, the group vanished. They sent one final letter declaring victory and disappeared forever. Nobody was ever caught. The case remains unsolved, but their impact was permanent. Japan completely rebuilt its corporate security systems because of them. Did you know someone sold the Eiffel Tower twice and got away with it? In 1925, Victor Lustig was history's greatest con man, and he had his eyes on Paris's most famous landmark. Lustig posed as a government official. He told scrap metal dealers that France needed to tear down the Eiffel Tower for maintenance costs. He held secret meetings, showed fake documents, made it seem urgent and confidential. The dealers competed to buy it. One man paid Lustig a fortune in cash for the entire tower. But here's the genius part. The victim was too embarrassed to report it. He'd been fooled so badly, he stayed quiet. So Lustig did it again. Found another dealer. Sold the same tower twice. This wasn't his only scam. He counterfeited money so well, he fooled Al Capone. He used over 40 different identities. For years, no one could catch him. But in 1935, the Secret Service finally tracked him down. The man who sold the Eiffel Tower died in prison, but his legend lives on. On March 18, 1990, 2 men in fake police uniforms walked into Boston's Gardner Museum and pulled off the biggest art theft in history. It was St. Patrick's Day weekend. The security guards were tired from the holiday crowds. At 1:13 a.m., the fake cops knocked on the door. They claimed someone had called in a disturbance. The guards let them in. Big mistake. Within minutes, the thieves had the guards handcuffed in the basement. No alarms, no resistance. For 81 minutes, they methodically stripped the walls. 13 priceless works. Over $500 million. They took a Vermeer worth $200 million. Sketches by Degas. Paintings by Rembrandt. But here's the strange part. They ignored even more valuable pieces hanging right next to their targets. The FBI has chased leads for 33 years. Mob connections, suspicious deaths, dead ends everywhere. The museum still offers $10 million for information. And those empty frames? They still hang on the walls today, waiting for masterpieces that may never come home. For 30 years, one man fooled the entire art world with fake masterpieces worth millions. Wolfgang Beltracchi wasn't just a forger. He was a master criminal who studied dead artists like a detective. He spent months learning their exact brush strokes, their paint mixing techniques, even how they signed their names. But Beltracchi went deeper. He created fake documents proving his paintings were real. He artificially aged canvases to look centuries old. He even used his wife to pose as the seller. Major auction houses sold his fakes for millions. Art experts called them masterpieces. Museums displayed them with pride. His empire seemed unstoppable. Then in 2006, scientists tested one of his paintings. They found titanium white paint. The problem? That paint was invented after the artist had died. One tiny detail brought down 3 decades of perfect crime. Beltracchi was arrested and sentenced to 6 years in prison. But here's the shocking part. Experts believe hundreds of his fakes are still hanging in galleries worldwide. The art world may never recover. For 18 years, the FBI hunted a ghost who terrorized America with bombs delivered through the mail. Ted Kaczynski was a Harvard-educated genius turned hermit. Living alone in a tiny cabin in Montana, he waged war against modern technology. His method was terrifyingly precise. He handcrafted each explosive device, selected targets who advanced technology, professors, airline executives, computer store owners. The FBI called him the Unabomber. Their investigation became the longest and most expensive in Bureau history. 3 people died. 23 were injured. For nearly 2 decades, investigators had nothing. No fingerprints, no witnesses. Just the unique signature of his homemade bombs. Then Kaczynski made a crucial demand. He wanted his 35,000-word manifesto published in major newspapers. The FBI agreed, hoping someone would recognize the writing. Someone did. David Kaczynski read the manifesto and felt sick. The phrases, the ideas, the writing style. It was his brother Ted. David's tip led agents to that remote Montana cabin, where they found bomb-making materials and the typewriter used for the manifesto. The ghost finally had a face. In 1963, 15 criminals pulled off the most famous train robbery in history in just 15 minutes. The Royal Mail train carried 2.6 million pounds. The gang spent months watching every detail. They had an inside man at the Postal Service feeding them information. On a quiet August night, they used fake signals to stop the train in the middle of nowhere. The driver thought it was routine. Then masked men swarmed the cars. In 15 minutes, they loaded 120 bags of cash into waiting trucks. They escaped to Leatherslade Farm, their secret hideout. There, they played Monopoly with the stolen money, real cash instead of fake bills. But that game destroyed them. Police found the farm. Fingerprints on the Monopoly set led to arrests across the gang. Ronnie Biggs escaped prison and fled to Brazil, becoming a legend. He stayed on the run for 36 years. The Great Train Robbery became the blueprint for every train heist after, a 15-minute crime that changed British criminal history forever. Did you know there's a criminal network that's stolen over $500 million in jewels and nobody can stop them? They call themselves the Pink Panthers, former soldiers from Yugoslavia who turned their military training into the perfect crime machine. Since the 1990s, they've hit 6 continents with surgical precision. Their method is always the same: months of surveillance, perfect disguises, then a 3-minute smash and grab that leaves security stunned. At the Cannes Film Festival, they walked into a jewelry store dressed as painters and escaped with 25 million in diamonds. In London, they hit the same Graff Diamonds store twice. Different crews, same devastating results. When they get caught, they don't stay caught. Helicopter prison breaks, tunnel escapes, pure Hollywood drama. Interpol has been chasing them for decades. They've arrested dozens, but the network keeps growing. They communicate in codes, change identities like clothes, and always stay one step ahead. Today, over 100 members are still active across the globe, the most successful jewel thieves in history, and they're still out there. In 1972, 5 men attempted the most consequential break-in in American history. Their target wasn't a bank or casino. It was the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate complex. The burglars called themselves the Plumbers. They worked for President Nixon's re-election campaign. Their mission: plant listening devices and steal campaign secrets. But at 2 in the morning, security guard Frank Wills noticed something odd: tape covering door locks to keep them open. He called police. Within hours, 5 men were arrested with surveillance equipment and thousands in cash. The White House claimed they'd never heard of these burglars. That lie would destroy a presidency. 2 Washington Post reporters followed the money trail. Their secret source, Deep Throat, met them in parking garages with explosive information. The break-in led straight to the Oval Office. Senate hearings revealed Nixon had recorded everything. When investigators demanded the tapes, they found the smoking gun. Nixon discussing how to cover up the crime. Facing impeachment, he became the first president to resign. A botched burglary that toppled the most powerful man in America. For 20 years, Bernie Madoff ran the largest financial fraud in history, and nobody suspected a thing. Madoff promised his wealthy clients steady returns, 12% every year, no matter what the market did. He recruited from exclusive country clubs and tight-knit communities, built trust through word of mouth, made his investment fund seem so exclusive that people begged to get in. Behind the scenes, Madoff created an elaborate fake trading floor, employees who thought they were making real trades, financial statements that looked perfect, but it was all a lie. Madoff was using new investor money to pay old investors, a $65 billion house of cards. For a decade, Whistleblower Harry Markopoulos warned regulators. They ignored him. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. Investors wanted their money back, all at once. Madoff confessed to his sons. They turned him in immediately. The aftermath was devastating. His eldest son took his own life. Thousands of victims lost everything. Madoff died in prison, serving a 150-year sentence. The most trusted man on Wall Street was its biggest fraud. Did you know the biggest burglary in British history was pulled off by a gang of grandpas? Easter weekend, 2015. The Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company sat empty in London's Diamond District. But downstairs, 4 men in their 60s were drilling through 2 feet of concrete. They'd spent 2 years planning this, studying the building, learning the security systems, waiting for the perfect moment. These weren't amateur criminals. They were career thieves with decades of experience. Over 4 days, they ransacked 56 safety deposit boxes, 200 million pounds in diamonds, gold, and cash. Gone. The bad grandpas thought they'd gotten away with it. But CCTV footage from nearby buildings told a different story. One by one, police tracked them down. Men in their 60s and 70s, finally facing justice for a lifetime of crime. The media couldn't believe it. Pensioners pulling off Britain's biggest heist. Most of the crew got 7 years in prison. But here's the crazy part. Millions in stolen goods were never found. Somewhere out there, a fortune in diamonds is still missing. In 2008, 4 men in wigs and makeup walked into the most exclusive jewelry store in Paris and pulled off one of history's biggest heists. Harry Winston's boutique was supposed to be untouchable. Armed guards, multiple cameras, direct police connection. But these thieves had spent months watching, learning guard rotations, timing deliveries, studying every weakness. On a December evening, they struck. Dressed as women, they walked right past security. Once inside, they revealed their weapons and took control. For 15 minutes, they forced terrified employees to open every display case, every vault, every safe. $108 million in diamonds and jewelry, loaded into bags like grocery shopping. Then they vanished into Paris traffic. Police had never seen anything like it. The disguises were perfect, the planning flawless. But the thieves got greedy. They'd hit jewelry stores across Europe using the same method. Investigators connected the dots through surveillance footage. One by one, the crew was identified and arrested. The heist changed luxury retail security forever, all because 4 men thought they could outsmart the system. Did you know a charming French con man murdered dozens of backpackers across Asia and became a celebrity criminal? Charles Sobrage looked like the perfect travel companion. Handsome, well-dressed, spoke multiple languages, but he was hunting. In the 1970s, Sobrage roamed Southeast Asia's backpacker trail. He'd befriend young travelers in hostels and cafes. His method was terrifyingly simple. He'd offer sick backpackers medicine for their stomach problems. The pills were actually poison. Once they died, he'd steal their passports, money, and identities, then disappear into the next country as someone else. Police caught him multiple times, but Sobrage was a master manipulator. He'd charm his way out of custody, bribe officials, even convinced authorities he had diplomatic immunity. When he finally got arrested in India, he drugged his entire prison and walked out during a birthday party he threw for the guards. He lived as a celebrity in Paris for years. Then he made one fatal mistake. He returned to Nepal, where he was still wanted for murder. This time, there was no escape. Life in prison ended the serpent's reign of terror. For 60 years, one woman stole millions in jewelry from the world's most exclusive stores, and she did it with nothing but charm. Doris Payne was the most successful jewel thief in history. Her method was brilliant in its simplicity. She'd walk into high-end jewelry stores dressed impeccably, speak with different accents, claim to be shopping for her wealthy husband. While salespeople showed her expensive pieces, she'd engage them in captivating conversation, try on multiple items at once, create confusion about what was on and off. Then she'd simply walk out, still wearing a $100,000 necklace. For 6 decades, she hit stores across 6 continents: Cartier, Tiffany, Van Cleef, and Arpels. She was arrested dozens of times, but her charm worked on judges too. She'd get light sentences, escape custody, or simply disappear. Even in her 80s, she couldn't stop. Her final arrest came at age 86, attempting to steal a $2,000 ring. She wrote her autobiography from prison, becoming a criminal legend. The woman who proved that sometimes the best disguise is hiding in plain sight.